You coming?
I'm coming. Da 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 da.
Oh, you're such a loser.
3 claps.
Okay, ready?
3, 2, 1. Awesome.
Hi!
Hey, I'm Regan.
And I'm Joanna. Welcome back.
And welcome to the
Readviewers. We are so lame.
Yeah, thanks guys for joining us again. We're actually here to do our first ever review.
Yeah.
And just a little bit about us for those who haven't watched our other videos. We are going to be reading books and watching their subsequent film adaptations.
Yep,
So-
or vice versa. So if there were a movie first and someone wrote them into a story, we'll
We might do
happily
that.
watch it too. Yeah.
And what was our first ever?
Our first ever was Michael Crichton's Jurassic Park, the classic, which I had never, ever seen before. So it was a totally new experience for me.
Yeah. And what did you? How was your overall experience, just in general? I've got to say, we watched the movie on the last weekend, just gone.
Yeah.
And I've been waiting to have this discussion with you. It's been really hard not to chat together off camera because there's a lot to talk about. But what did you think?
I loved it. Oh my gosh, I enjoyed it so much more than I thought I would. The whole thing just, it
pretty
drew
great,
me
right?
in. I was very, very captured by the whole story, by all of it. So
Yeah.
I was very pleasantly surprised that I enjoyed this one.
Awesome. Well, I can only echo what Joe said. I've seen the movie 100 times and I absolutely adore the movie, but the book just added that depth that I didn't know about, and I just love Michael Crichton's world that he's created. I think personally that Jurassic Park, in terms of pop cultural icons, is up there with Star Wars and Harry Potter and everything. So it was great to first jump in, and I had a lot of fun with you, like kind of chatting about it, and here we are.
Yeah. So I've been very excited because I really, really, really want to express my opinion, and I really, really, really couldn't until now. So
Yeah.
I'm super excited. And
Awesome.
so I think, so we read the book first and watched the movie. And so I got a totally different experience from what Regan did, having watched the movie first and having
Definitely,
read the
yeah.
book second. So you're gonna hear about it.
Yeah, so I guess let's get into it. But first we'll say, guys, if you haven't read Michael Crichton's book, 100% read it. It's excellent.
I
And-
highly recommend it. Yeah.
Yeah, and
It's a good read.
likewise with the movie. If you haven't read the movie, I think it's on
Read
Netflix.
the movie.
Watch the movie. It's on Netflix and Stan in Australia, I believe. So definitely watch that. So we're going to get into spoiler territory now.
Yeah.
But let's start with the novel because that was new to both of us.
And there was
over-
such a build up.
Overall, in terms of the book, the experience of the book, Crichton's writing style, the plot, what do you think?
I really, really, really enjoyed it. Generally, I would say the style of writing is generally not my personal favorite, because I'm not a huge sci-fi fan, but I loved it. It kept me very engaged the whole way through. I loved the characters. I loved reading about the plot lines, all the science data that's been put in there. Yeah, all the little intricate details that Michael Crichton went to the trouble of researching and putting in the book. It was good.
Yeah, I have similar opinions. I think Crichton's best strengths was his world building. He put a lot of time into building the world around Jurassic Park, a lot more than the book, the film. Sorry, but we'll get into that.
So,
And what about the movie? We watched the movie. We had a great night. We had snacks. We decked out in this living room. It was great. So, what did you think of Jurassic Park, the movie? First time ever.
I mean, I think because I read the book first, it kind of spoiled the movie for me, because there were plot lines that I really loved in the book and really engaged with and found really interesting and they weren't in the movie, or characters that had more of a certain type of role weren't in the movie, or things like that. And so I found it really, really hard to watch it as a separate entity from the book because I'd read the book so recently.
Yeah, I think you finished that afternoon.
Yeah, I had. There's so much in the book that could have just accentuated the movie a bit more. So
yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
I tend to disagree a little bit. I can understand why some things were left out, and I think we'll get into them. There's also the matter of runtime, and obviously they can't have everything in there. But I do agree with Joe that there is a lot in the book, especially the background around the island and what Hammond's up to, that's explored in the book before they get to the island that isn't touched on in the movie. And I guess that's just because they got to get to the action as quick as possible. But
yeah,
overall, I loved it. I love Jurassic Park so much, and I loved watching it with Joe for the first time. It was a really nice night. So, I mean, speaking of some of the plots and themes and things like that, you know, what were things you wanted to see, I guess, theme and plot-wise, from the book that didn't make it? Or what were you also, like, what didn't you mind that didn't make it from the book to the movie?
I mean, I don't know about this. I mean, I didn't mind that the whole setup of the island and stuff from the beginning was cut. There were things like Grant and Ellie being in a relationship, which threw me a lot in the film. But I think the main things that I missed were certain elements that happened in Jurassic Park. So there's this whole terrifying river scene where the T-Rex is chasing Lex, Grant and Tim in the book, and they're going up the river and the T-Rex is hunting them, and then at the end of it they find themselves at the waterfall and the T-Rex almost eats Tim. So, I mean, if you haven't read the book, I recommend that you do. I do it no justice, but just major points like that in the book I really missed in the film.
Yeah, I think that's one in the Jurassic Park community that people say they would have loved to see, that raft scene with the T-Rex. So yeah, I can agree. Yeah. I have two. The first one I really wish was more in the movie was that setup about questions being asked about Hammond and the buying of the island and the stocking of amber and things like that. Obviously that couldn't translate exactly to a movie, but I really appreciated that Hammond couldn't just get away with doing all that without government and agencies asking questions. So I missed that a little bit, only a little bit. The only other one I would mention is in the book, I'm glad they didn't put this to the movie, but in the book they have some raptors on a boat that's heading towards land. So there's this kind of ticking time bomb element in the book. Yeah. I personally didn't find it that tense because I thought, if 3 raptors get to the mainland, they'll probably be killed straight away. But they did. Crichton did have that as the ticking time bomb element. Like they have to get to the phones or velociraptors will run loose on the mainland. That
wasn't super important to the plot line. I think for me it was more elements like, you know, Grant who's never had anything to do with kids before, has to keep these 2 strange children alive. One of them's this tiny little girl that hates dinosaurs. She doesn't hate them, she just doesn't care.
She does hate them.
Yeah, and she just she says she hates the Tyrannosaurus Rex a lot. And just whining all the time. She's tired, she's hungry.
Well, we've kind of touched on it a little bit, but let's talk about the big one. Let's talk about some characters. I've got 3 that I really want to talk about. I don't want to be really long, but do you have a couple that you want to... Do you want me to go first?
You go first.
Okay. The first one I want to bring up isn't a person. It's one of the dinosaurs, and I told you about this.
Yeah, and I agree.
The compies, Procompsognathus?
Procompsognathus?
Procompsognathus. Oh, okay. Let's call them
Compies.
Compies for short. Compies for
They're
short.
compies in the book.
The Compies play a really pivotal role in the book, both in the setup, because if you know Jurassic Park, there's a chapter and it's referred to in the movie called the InGen incident, and that's about a young child being bitten by a Compy and the investigation
On the mainland.
outside of
Costa
Jurassic
Rica?
Park. Outside of Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
And the Compies play quite a big role throughout the whole movie.
Throughout the whole book.
Yeah, book. Oh my goodness. In fact, they do end up killing one of the main characters, which we'll talk about later. So I did miss them. So one of the characters we agreed was very different from the book and the film was Hammond. So what did you think?
Hammond was a big one for me. He's just not that nice a character in the book, like not at all. In the book, he like doesn't care about his grandkids at all. All he cares about is making a successful theme park out of Jurassic Park and getting everyone on board with his ideas and
spared no expense.
Like that. Yeah, he didn't spare any expenses, but he also,
That's his quote.
Got a heap of people killed. As Ian Malcolm said, life always finds a way.
Now we're just putting in quotes.
but seriously, it's a big one for me. He's just a very, very different character. He doesn't change his mind like he does in the film. He is true to his opinion all the way through.
Yeah, I would describe him in the book as the villain of the book. He is egotistical. At the very end, he blames everyone else, says that it'll be better. And I would say in the movie he's played as a bit of an eccentric, maybe a bit overambitious, but he's played as a little bit of a goofy grandfather type. Like he has his problems, but he's still likable. And played by Richard Attenborough, who did an absolutely incredible job. I can't imagine anyone else playing that role.
Yeah.
And you mentioned before the other one that's worth talking about, Ian Malcolm, because
Ian Malcolm's
incredible.
A huge one for me. Like, I like Jeff Goldblum, and I like Jeff Goldblum in the role. I just think he's not the character that Ian Malcolm is in the book. I mean, there's elements that are right, but also there's elements that are off for me. So
I disagree completely.
I mean, I love it. I love Jeff Goldblum.
Goldblum brought that kind of arrogance and swagger and intelligence to the role that was present in the book. So Malcolm plays the same character, very very smart and against the idea from the outset, and it's the same in the book.
Every photo of Ian Malcolm that exists is that one of
the sexiest pose of all time.
That one. With his shirt all unbuttoned and he's recovering. I mean, it's not presented like that in the book. I mean, I think what Jeff Goldblum brings to character in the film, and obviously Spielberg's tweaking, like a very charismatic air. So even though he's still against the idea, he's still a likable person. Like, the characters are not like, why is this guy even here? Whereas in the book, Gennaro like, why is he here? Like, and so is, like, everyone's getting irritated with him all the time.
Well, Hammond is. Anyone who wants to make money from the park is.
Hammond hates it. Gennaro, I think, gets annoyed with him in the book because he doesn't understand the ideas that he's presenting, and so because he doesn't immediately get it, he just kind of has to keep asking all these questions to clarify, and Ian Malcolm's getting annoyed with him in return. So they're more irritable characters in the book, and I think it would have been better with someone. Like, I don't think it would be better. I think it's good with Jeff Goldblum. I just think it's a different take on the character. Okay,
well, who would you cast for Ian Malcolm then?
For the time when it was filmed, I think I have nothing against this actor. I absolutely love him. But I think someone like Stanley Tucci, I can't remember his character's name in the Hunger Games, but he plays that kind of like character, and then he
Caesar.
plays a gay fashion whiz in Devil Wears Prada. I think he could like pull off a role like Ian Malcolm.
Interesting.
But I think
if you guys have any ideas, put them in the comments about who you play as Ian Malcolm.
another character I want to bring up was what's his name? The park ranger. Muldoon. I had very different ideas of Muldoon in my head from reading the book than I did with watching the movie. He is the one that knows about animals and how to survive, that sort of stuff. He is one of the survivors at the end of the book, as opposed to in the film where he gets killed halfway through.
But he has the best death scene in any Hollywood movie, and the best last line or last words, "Clever girl." What was your favourite scene created in the movie?
Oh, in the movie.
Do you want me to tell you mine?
You go first, yeah.
Okay. It has to be, I mean there's a couple, but it has to be the T-Rex escaping the paddock. So in the movie, I don't know if you noticed, there's actually, during that scene, there's no musical score or anything. It's just the rain and the T-Rex escaping the paddock, attacking
and the fear.
And the fear, attacking the cars. The flares being lit, Ian freeze, like, oh man.
I do really like the setup to that scene. I like the bit just before that where the it's just the rain and they hear something and then it flashes across and there's like wires have been broken and then it flashes back to where the goat had been just a few minutes ago and then the goat's gone.
Yeah.
And it's just this swinging chain.
Well, that scene's the first time you actually see, or the viewer sees the dinosaur for the first time, and I gotta say, the movie's like, what is it, almost 30 years old, and it still looks good.
Yeah.
What did you think? That was the first time you saw it.
I think the dinosaurs were good animatronics.
Yeah.
Like, I really liked was it a Triceratops?
Triceratops, yeah.
At the beginning, where she was just lying and the little foot was moving. Yeah. I thought that was really well done.
And do you have a favourite scene, or do you want to, what kind of scene from the book would it be like to have seen?
Okay, I have an absolute favourite scene in the book that wasn't in the movie, unfortunately, and I would have loved to have seen it in the movie. The scene where they're running away from the raptors. So Grant creates a distraction and gets the raptors in, I think, the incubation room with him. And in the book, early on, it sets up that there's some of the most toxic poisons, biohazard poisons in the world in that room, locked up in this chamber. And so he poisons eggs and gets the raptors to eat the eggs as they're chasing him through this room, and it's really, really well written, and it creates such an image in your mind.
Yeah. Very suspenseful.
Yeah, and I would have loved to have seen that in the film. I think that's it. I think I'm for the book more so than the film, but I loved it. It was good. Yeah.
Well, I loved both. I absolutely adore Jurassic Park. I think it's the best, and it was a great way to kick off Readviewers. So, I had a great time with you, and look forward to the next one as well.
Yeah. Keep an eye out on our next book reveal.
Yeah. Thanks. So we'll be revealing a new book that we're going to do probably in the next week, so keep an eye out.
Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and let us know what books and what your opinion of the film or the book, or what you think.
Yep.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
See you next time.
Bye.
Da 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 da. Joe, give me your best T-Rex roar.
Why?
Go on. Pretty good.
What about you? It's your turn.
I'll do my best Dennis Nedry. Dodgson, we got Dodgson over here. See, nobody cares. Clever girl.
That wasn't Dennis Nedry.
Yes, it was.